Modern leadership can often feel like a cycle of distraction, exhaustion, and hurried choices. We are connected yet fragmented, busy yet rarely moving forward with purpose, constantly reacting instead of thoughtfully shaping our path. But what if there was an ancient framework, meticulously designed for navigating this exact kind of chaos? It is not about shutting down emotion, but about building unshakable focus and a calm, rational command. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who guided an empire through immense challenges, wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your leadership is a direct reflection of what you choose to focus on. This is the core promise of Stoicism. By the end of this exploration, you will possess a practical framework to transform your leadership from ego-driven to principle-driven, and your thinking from scattered to laser-focused. We will uncover how a 2,000-year-old philosophy holds the keys to commanding your attention in a world designed to steal it. What does true command of your own mind look like when everything around you is demanding a reaction? Every great leader's first and most important territory to govern is their own mind. This is not a metaphor. It is the foundational, non-negotiable skill that every other leadership capacity depends upon. The Stoics had a powerful name for this territory. They called it the inner citadel. Think of it as an unbreachable fortress of character, built not from stone, but from your principles and your practiced judgments. Its purpose is not to hide from the world, but to stand firm within it, providing a place of calm command from which you can lead effectively no matter the storm outside. The entire architecture of this citadel rests on a single, profound distinction. It is the distinction between what is within your control and what is not. The philosopher Epictetus, a former slave whose teachings shaped emperors, began his entire manual for life, the Enchiridion, with this very point. He wrote, "Some things are up to us and some are not. Our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions, in a word, whatever is our own doing. Not up to us are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, in a word, whatever is not our own doing." This is the cornerstone. Your inner citadel is built only from the materials listed in the first category, your judgments and your chosen actions. Everything else, the market's volatility, a competitor's move, a team member's mood, the weather, even the final outcome of a well-laid plan, belongs to the second. It is external. Consider two leaders facing a sudden market rumor that sends their company's stock tumbling. The first leader, whose sense of security is tied directly to that stock price, reacts from a place of panic. They frantically call investors, issue orders based on fear, and project anxiety throughout the entire organization. Their inner citadel is under siege because they mistakenly believe the stock price is part of their territory to control. The second leader, anchored in their citadel, recognizes the rumor as an external event. They cannot control its existence or its immediate impact. What they can control is their assessment of it, their decision to gather facts, their communication to the team, and their commitment to the long-term of the story. It returns authority to you. Because when you can see the event as it truly is, you stop being a passenger in your own mind and start to become its pilot. And this clarity of sight sets the stage for the next critical discipline, the one that determines what you actually do with what you see. When a Stoic like Marcus Aurelius faced times of great difficulty, he did not just endure them. He sought to love the duty they presented. This is the essence of a practice that elevates Stoic leadership from simple resilience to a transformative force, Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. It is the decision to not merely accept what happens, but to embrace it, to see every event, especially the challenging ones, as necessary fuel. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who drew deeply from Stoic wells, later captured this spirit perfectly. He wrote of Amor Fati as wanting nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, but love it. This is the ultimate strategic mindset. It transforms the very concept of an obstacle. The obstacle is no longer a barrier on your path, it becomes the path itself. Epictetus instructed his students to approach life with this attitude. He said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to, rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens, and you will be happy." This is not passive surrender. It is the most active form of engagement possible. It is looking directly at a setback or a piece of direct feedback and saying, "This too is for my benefit. How can I use it?" Contrast this with mere resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back after being knocked down. Amor Fati is the decision to see the knock as part of the training, to appreciate the fall for the lesson it teaches about balance. A resilient leader weathers a storm. A leader practicing Amor Fati studies the storm, learns its patterns, and uses its winds to adjust their sails. Consider a modern business example. A company launches a new product with high hopes, only to see it not meet expectations in the market. The resilient response is to analyze what happened, regroup, and try again. The Amor Fati response begins there but goes deeper. It asks, what did this outcome make possible that success would have blinded us to? Perhaps it revealed a completely unmet customer need that the team was previously ignoring. Perhaps it forced a necessary restructuring that strengthened the company's core. The experience is not just a setback to recover from. It becomes the essential catalyst for a more innovative and ultimately successful pivot. The leader who loves that fate sees the lessons of the old project as the foundation for the next. So here is a question to turn philosophy into practice. What current challenge in your role, if you embraced it fully as necessary, could become your greatest teacher? Is it a complex team dynamic encouraging you to improve your communication? Is it a budget constraint sparking more creative solutions? Look at that very challenge and ask, not how do I get past this, but what is this here to show me? This shift in perception from resistance to embrace is what forges the most adaptable and insightful leaders, and it prepares you for the final, outward-facing discipline, where your inner command meets the world through purposeful action. Stoic leaders do not simply hope for the best, they prepare for realistic outcomes to lead from a place of calm readiness. This is the power of a specific Stoic exercise known as Premeditation Malorum, which translates to the pre-contemplation of challenges. It might sound serious, but its purpose is quite the opposite. It is not about pessimism or expecting unfavorable events. It is a form of cognitive and emotional preparation. By mentally rehearsing potential difficulties, you build a resilience to the surprise and disruption they might otherwise bring. The Stoic philosopher Seneca explained this beautifully in his letters. He wrote, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a difficulty. The person who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Think of it like a safety drill. You do not conduct a safety drill because you want an emergency to occur. You do it so that if the alert ever sounds, your response is practiced, calm, and effective, not chaotic. Your mind has already walked the path from surprise to procedure. For a leader, this practice transforms anxiety into strategy. It moves concerns out of the shadows of your subconscious and into the light of your rational mind, where you can actually work with them. Let us apply it. Imagine you are leading a critical project. Instead of just visualizing its success, you dedicate a few quiet minutes to this pre-contemplation. You mentally walk through a specific adversity. What if our main supplier suddenly cannot deliver a key component? You do not just dwell on the problem. You rehearse your response, you calmly assess the situation, you contact your alternate suppliers, you communicate transparently with your team about the delay and the new plan. You have just conducted a mental safety drill. Now, if that event actually occurs, your nervous system does not go into a heightened state. It recognizes the scenario. Your mind says, "We have a plan for this." Your response is composed and strategic, not reactive. The exercise has a profound secondary benefit. It cultivates a deep gratitude for the present. By consciously considering the temporary nature of your current success, your team's well-being, or a stable environment, you do not take them for granted. You appreciate them more fully right now, which itself is a source of strength and clarity. So here is a way to integrate this today. Think of your single biggest work-related concern for the coming week. Maybe it is a difficult conversation you need to have, or a presentation you are nervous about. Now, close your eyes for just a moment and mentally rehearse it facing a realistic hurdle. The conversation becomes tense, the presentation question is challenging. Then, and this is the key, mentally rehearse your calm, principled response. How would your most centered self handle that moment? What is the first rational step you would take? By doing this, you are not inviting trouble. You are disarming its power to disrupt your leadership in the moment it matters most. You are building a reservoir of calm to draw from, ensuring that when pressure arrives, your actions are chosen, not merely triggered. This forward-looking preparation completes the inner architecture of the Stoic leader. But how does this private discipline translate into public action and influence? From orbit, your current leadership challenge looks different. The office, the city, even the country shrink into a single, silent point of light against a vast, dark canvas. This shift in scale is the heart of a Stoic meditation called the view from above. It is a deliberate mental exercise designed to pull you out of the narrow confines of your immediate concerns and place them within the immense context of time, space, and human history. Its purpose is not to make your problems seem trivial, but to make your perspective strategic. When you zoom out, the petty grievances, the temporary setbacks, and the noisy distractions lose their overwhelming power. What remains in focus are the things of true substance, the principles you lead by, and the legacy you are building. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire, constantly practiced this. He would remind himself to frequently take a view from above, to see the bustling forums and homes as mere anthills, and to consider the brief, fleeting nature of any single human life within the long story of the world. He called this the city of the world, a reminder that our small dramas are part of a much larger, ongoing human project. Let us make this practical. You are dealing with a persistent, frustrating conflict between two team members. It consumes your mental energy in meetings and colors your perception of the team's morale. Now, apply the view from above. First, zoom out in space. See your building from a block away, then from the sky, then from orbit. That specific conference room where the tension flares is now just one tiny room in one tiny building on a vast planet. Next, zoom out in time. See this conflict from the perspective of 5 years from now. Will you even remember the specific details of this disagreement? What you will remember is how you guided the team through it, or perhaps the important project it was distracting you from. This exercise does not mean the conflict is unimportant to solve. It means you are solving it from a place of calm, strategic choice, not from a place of being emotionally entangled in its drama. It frees up immense mental bandwidth that was being used to worry and redirects it to actually leading. The true power of this perspective is how it clarifies purpose. When viewed from the grand scale, the questions that arise are profound. What is the real work I am here to do? What impact do I want to have that will outlast today's crisis? Is my current focus aligned with that, or am I being swept up in minor currents? A leader who can regularly access this view stops fighting battles that do not matter and starts conserving energy for the campaigns that define their legacy. So here is your reflective prompt. Think of one stressor occupying your mind right now, a problem that feels large and immediate. Now ask yourself this single question: will this matter in 5 years? Be honest with the answer. If it will not, grant yourself the permission to address it with detached efficiency, not emotional investment. If it will matter, then you have just identified something worthy of your full strategic focus, and you can approach it with the clarity it deserves. This cosmic perspective is the final piece that aligns your inner command with your outward action, ensuring you are not just busy but building something that endures. Your time as a leader is finite. Stoicism asks you to remember this, not to fear it, but to focus it. This is the essence of Memento Mori, the ancient practice of remembering our own timeline. Far from a dark fixation, it is the ultimate tool for clarity and decisive action. It asks a simple, piercing question. If your time is limited, what deserves your full attention? This awareness acts as a relentless filter, cutting through procrastination, endless deliberation, and the seductive pull of trivial busywork. It forces you to distinguish between what is merely urgent and what is truly important. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on this in his letters, arguing that we are not given a short life, but we make it short by wasting much of it. He urged his readers to live each day as if it were a complete life, to close each day with the thought that it is not our last, but it could be. For a leader, this is not about working frantically, but about working with profound intention. Consider two leaders in the same organization. The first is perpetually busy, their calendar a solid block of back-to-back meetings, their inbox a constant source of reaction. They are managing, but they are not building. The second leader, guided by this principle, begins each week by asking, what are the one or two things only I can do that will have the most lasting impact on our mission? They protect time for those legacy-defining projects. They say no to engagements that do not serve that core purpose. They are not less busy, but their energy is directed with surgical precision. The awareness of a finite timeline collapses hesitation. That difficult strategic decision you have been putting off, that crucial feedback you have been hesitant to give, that innovative idea you have been waiting for the perfect moment to launch, this perspective whispers, if not now, when? It transforms leadership from a series of tasks into a conscious act of creation. So here is the prompt to make this real. If you led with the awareness that you had 1 year left in your role, what would you stop doing immediately, and what would you start doing today? The first answer reveals your distractions. The second reveals your true purpose. Let that clarity, not fear, guide your next move. Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This powerful idea from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who navigated immense challenges, is not just a modern insight. It is the very heartbeat of Stoic leadership in practice. That space he describes is the Stoic pause. It is the deliberate and conscious decision to insert a moment of quiet between the world acting upon you and your action upon the world. This is not passive hesitation. It is the active engagement of your highest faculty, your reason, and it is where your true leadership is either shaped or surrendered. This pause is the practical and living application of the dichotomy of control we explored earlier. The stimulus, whether it is a sharp critique, a missed deadline, or a sudden market shift, is the external event. It is not up to you. Your judgment about that event and your chosen response are entirely within your command. But to exercise that command, you must create the space to do so. Epictetus taught this directly, stating that people are not disturbed by things but by the views they take of them. The pause is where you examine that view before you accept it as truth. It is the gap where you can ask if this event is truly difficult or if you are merely judging it to be so. You can consider what is within your power here. Think of a common modern provocation like an emotionally charged message. It arrives and your heart rate quickens. Your fingers may move to reply, ready to craft a defensive answer. This is the automatic stimulus-reaction loop. The Stoic leader recognizes the trigger and chooses to create space. They do not hit reply immediately. They might stand up and walk away from the screen. They could get a glass of water or simply take 3 slow and deep breaths, focusing on the exhale. In that brief pause, your physiology changes. The initial surge of feeling begins to settle, and the rational mind regains its post. Now you can review the message not as an attack but as information. You can separate the tone from the content. You can decide if a response is even necessary, and if it is, what form would be most effective and principled. The response that eventually leaves your outbox will be strategic and clear, free from reactive energy. It will be a message sent from a place of calm consideration. This practice builds the mental muscle of command, one deliberate breath at a time. So here is your commitment to build that space tomorrow. Identify one predictable daily trigger. Perhaps it is a certain tone in a morning meeting or the sound of a particular notification. Your practice is this: before you react in any way, you will take 3 conscious and deep breaths. Inhale slowly and exhale even slower. In that tiny space, you reclaim your power to choose. You move from being a reactor to becoming a responder, and in that subtle shift, everything changes. The most powerful leadership tool might be a notebook and 10 minutes of honest reflection at day's end. This is the practice of Stoic journaling, a structured conversation with yourself that turns experience into wisdom. For the ancient Stoics, this was not an optional hobby. It was a daily discipline, a non-negotiable debrief to examine your judgments and sharpen your character. Marcus Aurelius's masterpiece, Meditations, was never meant for the world to read. It was his private journal, filled with personal reminders, thoughtful guidance, and repeated encouragement to live up to his principles. He was holding a private board meeting with his own soul, and the notes from those meetings became a manual for leading an empire from a place of integrity. Think of your own leadership day. It is a blur of decisions, conversations, and reactions. Without a deliberate pause to process, those moments simply vanish, and with them, the lessons they contain. Journaling creates that pause. It is where you move from being in the experience to learning from it. The Stoics used simple, piercing prompts to guide this reflection. What did I do well today that aligned with my virtues? Where did I let an external event or someone else's opinion dictate my inner state? What is one thing I can improve tomorrow? The power lies in the consistency, not the volume. You do not need to write pages. You need to write with honesty. A simple 3-part template can structure this. First, review your key actions against the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-command. Did a difficult decision require courage? Did I act with fairness? Second, note a specific moment where you felt your focus slip, where you reacted instead of responded. Simply naming it diminishes its power next time. Third, plan for a better tomorrow. Based on today's reflection, what is one small, intentional adjustment you will make? This practice transforms leadership from a series of events into a curated journey of growth. You are no longer just moving forward, you are course correcting with awareness. You begin to see patterns in your own behavior, both the strengths to reinforce and the reactive habits to gently understand. Your journal becomes the blueprint for your inner foundation, a record of how you are building it day by day. So here is your invitation to begin this tonight. Do not overcomplicate it. Take a notebook or even a blank document and ask yourself just one question as you close the day. Did my leadership today, in at least one meaningful moment, align with my deepest values? Write the first honest thought that comes to mind. That single act of reflection is the seed. From it grows the clarity and self-command that defines not just a manager, but a true leader. Stoic focus is like a laser, not a floodlight. It illuminates only the immediate, necessary action. While strategy requires looking ahead and reflection requires looking back, the actual work of leadership happens only in one place, the present moment. This is the Stoic art of presence, the disciplined commitment to doing the task at hand well with your full attention. Anxiety, distraction, and poor decisions are almost never born from the present itself. They arise when our mind is time-traveling, replaying a past event on a loop or projecting a future concern that has not yet happened. What has already occurred is immutable. What is to come remains uncertain. The here and now is the only arena where you have any agency, where your will can meet the world and create change. Marcus Aurelius captured this with perfect clarity. He wrote about concentrating every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what is in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice. And on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you heard that right, tenderly and willingly. This is not grim force, but a full and gracious engagement with the work directly before you. He even advised doing each task as if it were your last, because in a very real sense, it is the only one you are actually able to do. Consider a leader navigating a genuine challenge, perhaps a major system issue affecting customers. The totality of the situation can feel paralyzing. The potential future implications, the scale of the solution, the impact on trust, these thoughts flood the mind like a torrent. The leader who practices this art of presence does not ignore the big picture, but they anchor their action in the next right step. They quiet the noise about tomorrow and ask, what is the single, most important thing we can do in the next hour to serve our customers right now? That might be activating a communication plan. It might be assembling the technical team for a briefing. They pour their entire focus into that one action, executing it with care and precision. Once it is complete, they then ask the question again for the next hour. This is how large challenges are managed, not by trying to swallow them whole, but by breaking them into a series of present moments, each handled with full command. Your reflective prompt is this: choose one specific task for tomorrow, not an entire project, but a single, contained action. It could be drafting a proposal, having a one-on-one conversation, or analyzing a set of data. Commit to giving that task your undivided attention for a defined period, say 45 minutes. Turn off all notifications, close every other window, and place your phone in another room. Your only job in that time is to be completely with that one thing. Notice what happens to the quality of your work and the quietness of your mind. This is the practice where grand philosophy meets the ground, in the simple, powerful act of being here now. What if the path to unbreakable focus as a leader involved intentionally making yourself comfortable with the unfamiliar? This is the Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort, and it is not about punishment. It is a form of training, a deliberate way to build the resilience of your mind so that when life inevitably presents its challenges, you are not just prepared, you are unshakable. The Stoics understood that constant ease can be a subtle trap. It can soften the mind and make small inconveniences feel like major crises. To counter this, they would periodically choose to experience simplicity, to remind themselves that they could thrive with less. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, would practice what he called periods of intentional lack. He would sleep on a hard bed, wear simple clothing, and eat only the plainest food for days at a time. He wrote about setting aside a certain number of days during which you would be content with the most basic fare and rough dress, asking yourself, is this the condition that I once feared? His contemporary, Cato the Younger, was known for his austere lifestyle, walking the streets of Rome barefoot in all weather, all to strengthen his character against life's unpredictability. The principle is profound. By voluntarily stepping into a manageable challenge, you accomplish two critical things. First, you prove to yourself, through direct experience, that you can endure far more than your anxious mind believes. You break the illusion that your well-being depends on perfect conditions. Second, you drain the fear from future adversity. When an unexpected challenge arrives, your mind does not panic because it recognizes the terrain. You have been here before by choice. You have already walked through a version of this and emerged stronger. The obstacle is familiar and therefore less powerful. Modern applications of this are everywhere, and they need not be extreme. It is the leader who chooses to wake up 30 minutes earlier, not to check email, but to tackle their single most difficult task of the day with a fresh, disciplined mind. It is opting for a walking meeting in the cool morning air instead of a comfortable conference room, using the minor physical effort to sharpen mental clarity. It could be as simple as delaying a meal until noon once a week, not for diet but to practice commanding your impulses, to prove that a craving is a sensation, not an emergency. Each small act is a repetition in the gym for your willpower. So here is your challenge to integrate this wisdom. This week, incorporate one small, voluntary step outside your routine comfort. It could be taking a cool shower for the final 60 seconds, turning off all digital devices for one evening, or deliberately taking on a tedious but necessary task without complaint. Do not do it to suffer, do it to observe. Notice what happens in your mind when the impulse for ease arises and you consciously choose a different path. That moment of choice is where your focus is forged and your resilience is built, one voluntary step at a time. Forget the fiery motivational speaker. The most effective Stoic leader communicates with the calm clarity of a surgeon. This is not a rejection of passion, but a prioritization of precision. In a world saturated with persuasive pitches and emotionally charged language, the Stoic leader understands that true influence stems from a different source, the unwavering virtues of wisdom and justice. Wisdom guides you to speak only what is true and necessary. Justice compels you to communicate in a way that respects the listener's capacity for reason and fosters collective understanding. Your goal is not to be liked in the moment, but to be understood and to build trust that endures. This communication style is a direct outgrowth of the inner disciplines we have built. Because you have learned to manage your own impressions, you can now choose language that reflects reality, not your reactive feelings about it. Epictetus laid down a simple yet profound rule for speech. He taught, let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words. He urged his students to avoid vulgar language, pointless complaints, and speaking merely to impress. Every word should carry weight and purpose. Consider the stark difference in communication during a genuine setback, like a missed quarterly target. An emotionally charged, ego-driven announcement might sound like this. Team, we have completely failed this quarter. The market turned against us and frankly, some of our efforts were not up to par. This has put us in a very difficult position. This language is vague, assigns blame, and amplifies fear. It is a broadcast of the leader's own unchecked impressions. Now, listen to a statement guided by Stoic clarity. Team, our third quarter results came in 15% below our projection. The primary factors were a delayed product launch in July and softer than expected demand in the European sector. I take accountability for the launch delay. Our immediate focus is on the following 3 actions: finalizing the launch this week, reallocating marketing resources, and conducting a deep dive analysis of the European data by Friday. This communication states facts without hyperbole, assigns clear accountability without public shaming, and immediately directs collective energy toward rational, forward-looking action. It treats the team as capable partners in problem-solving, not as an audience for a performance of disappointment. The leader's inner calm allows the message itself to be the tool, sharp and direct, cutting through confusion to the heart of the matter. So here is your practical step for building this skill. In your next important communication, what one emotionally charged word or phrase can you replace with a more factual, neutral one? Instead of calling a situation a disaster, describe it as a significant challenge. Rather than saying a plan failed, note that it did not achieve the intended outcome. This simple substitution is a discipline. It forces you to see the event more clearly, and in doing so, it allows everyone else to see it clearly too. Your words become a lens for focus, not a mirror for emotion. Emotions are contagious. A leader's worry or calm will spread through their team faster than any memo. This is not just an idea, but a biological reality grounded in our neural wiring for connection. When a leader enters a room, their emotional state becomes the unseen atmosphere for everyone present. The Stoics understood this profound responsibility deeply. They called the ideal state Sympatheia, which is often misunderstood as being without feeling. In truth, it is something far more powerful, a freedom from the overwhelming reactions that can cloud our judgment. It is the cultivated steadiness that allows a leader to recognize the urgency of a situation without being swept away by the worry of it. Seneca described this beautifully, writing that the wise person's mind is like the deep sea, remaining calm and steady however the winds may rage upon its surface. That steadiness is not a personal luxury, it is a shared resource. It becomes a point of stability for those who look to you for direction. Consider the tangible ripple effect during a high-pressure moment, like a critical missed deadline. One leader, caught by strong feelings of frustration and concern, might call an urgent meeting filled with pointed questions about what went wrong. Their tone becomes sharp, their body language tense. This emotional signal is instantly understood by the team. The contagion begins, concern spikes, defensiveness rises. Creative thinking slows as people's mental energy shifts toward simply managing the moment. The focus moves from solving the issue to navigating the leader's emotional state. Now consider the alternative approach. The same leader, practicing balance, gathers the team. They acknowledge the setback with simple clarity. Their tone is measured, their posture open. They might say, "We have missed this deadline. Our immediate priority is understanding what happened and reducing the impact on our client. Let us map out our next steps together." This emotional signal, one of focused stability, is equally contagious. It gives the team permission to think clearly. It lowers the collective pressure. It channels energy away from finding fault and toward building a solution together. The problem remains the same, but the emotional environment for solving it has been completely transformed. Your reflective prompt is this: think back to the last time your own emotional state, whether one of visible frustration or genuine calm, visibly affected the atmosphere of your team. Did your concern amplify theirs, or did your composure create space for clarity? This awareness is the first step in mastering your emotional influence. By choosing balance, you are not suppressing feeling. You are offering your team the greatest gift a leader can provide, a stable ground from which to do their best work. A Stoic leader understands that without justice, all other strategies for focus and performance are built on sand. You can master your own mind and communicate with clarity, but if your team does not trust your fundamental fairness, every instruction becomes a negotiation and every setback a potential conspiracy. For the Stoics, justice was not merely a legal concept but a living virtue. It was the active commitment to fairness, kindness, and our duty to contribute to the common good of those we lead. It meant seeing each person not as a function, but as a human being deserving of respect and consideration according to their nature and worth. Marcus Aurelius returned to this idea constantly in his private writings, framing it as his central purpose. He wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee," and more directly, "My city and country as Antoninus is Rome as a man, the world. Whatever benefits these two is alone good for me. For a leader, your swarm is your team. Their health is inseparable from your own success." This virtue moves far beyond simple rule following. It is proactive. It is choosing to design systems and make daily choices that are transparent and equitable. Consider the practical applications. It is establishing and openly communicating clear criteria for promotions and rewards, so advancement feels earned, not arbitrary. It is the deliberate act of giving public credit for ideas and effort, ensuring contributions are seen and valued. It is handling conflicts between team members with impartiality, listening to all sides without favoritism before guiding toward a resolution. Each of these actions is a brick in the foundation of team trust. When people believe the system is fair and the leader is just, they can direct their energy toward the work itself, not toward navigating internal politics or protecting their position. Their focus becomes collective, not defensive. Imagine a team working on a complex project. A just leader allocates challenging tasks not based on personal preference, but on who has the skills and development needs to succeed. When the project succeeds, that leader highlights the specific contributions of each member in the team meeting and the report to senior management. If two team members disagree on an approach, the leader facilitates a discussion based on the merits of the ideas, not the seniority of the people presenting them. This environment does not eliminate all conflict, but it ensures conflict is about the work, not about perceived injustice. It creates psychological safety, the belief that one can speak up, take a risk, or admit a mistake without fear of unfair treatment or embarrassment. In this soil, high performance and fierce loyalty naturally grow. Your reflective prompt to make this active is this. This week, choose one team process, policy, or recurring decision you oversee. It could be how assignments are distributed, how meeting time is allocated, or how feedback is delivered. Audit it through the single, piercing lens of fairness. Ask yourself, if I were a new member of this team, would this process seem transparent and just? Is there any aspect that could be perceived as arbitrary or biased? The answer to that question is your next step toward building a foundation that lasts. Stoic courage is not the absence of fear, but the quiet decision to act with principle in spite of it. This virtue is the final gear in the mechanism of focused leadership, transforming all your inner clarity into outward action. It is what moves you from knowing the right thing to actually doing it, especially when doing so is difficult, uncomfortable, or invites a challenging moment. For the Stoics, courage was never a reckless charge into danger. It was a rational, calculated commitment to justice and the common good, even when personal cost was certain. It is the courage to prioritize the long-term health of your team or project over the short-term comfort of avoiding unnecessary conversation. This kind of bravery is deeply intertwined with every discipline we have explored. It requires the pause to separate the feeling from the facts. It needs the view from above to see why this action matters in the larger story. And it is guided by justice to ensure you are acting for the right reasons, not for pride or frustration. The Roman senator Cato the Younger was a living model of this principle in action. In a political climate rife with compromise and shifting alliances, his resolve was legendary, not because he sought conflict, but because he refused to bend his integrity for convenience or safety. He stood firm on his convictions regarding the law and the republic, even when it made him unpopular with powerful figures. His approach was not an impulsive temper. It was a consistent, reasoned application of his values to his public duties. He demonstrated that the bravest action is often the most measured one, taken after careful thought and rooted in an unwavering moral compass. In modern leadership, this translates to those pivotal moments where everything in you might want to choose the easier path. It is the courage to initiate a crucial performance conversation with a talented but underperforming team member because you owe them honesty and the chance to improve. It is the courage to conclude a beloved project that is no longer serving the organization's mission, despite the emotional investment and history. It is the courage to stand in front of your team or your board and publicly take accountability for a mistake, focusing energy away from blame and toward a solution. In each case, fear is present, fear of a difficult moment, of disappointment, of appearing uncertain. Courage is what you do next, so here is a question to turn this insight into a step forward. What is one right action you have been quietly avoiding because you fear the short-term discomfort it will create? Is it a necessary organizational change, a piece of direct feedback, or a strategic pivot you have delayed? Name it, then consider what aspect of your Stoic practice, the pause, the broader perspective, or the duty to justice, can give you the steady foundation to move forward. The most focused leaders are not those who never feel fear. They are the ones whose principles are clear enough to act through it. The Stoic path to extraordinary achievement requires the moderation of your own ambition. This is the profound paradox of the virtue known as temperance. In a culture that often equates drive with relentless pursuit, Stoicism offers a more sustainable and ultimately more powerful model. Temperance does not mean dampening your fire. It means placing that fire under the disciplined control of your reason, so it provides steady, focused heat rather than a consuming blaze. Your ambition becomes a tool for meaningful action, not a master that demands endless sacrifice. The Stoic philosopher Seneca explored this idea with piercing clarity. He observed that the greatest wealth is to live content with little, for there is never want where the mind has mastered its desires. He warned of the exhausting chase, writing that poverty is wanting little, but misery is wanting much. For a leader, this translates to a critical shift, finding deep satisfaction in the quality of your effort and the integrity of your process, while holding the specific outcome more lightly. The effort is entirely within your command. The final result, influenced by countless external factors, is not. This distinction is the foundation for lasting energy and ethical clarity. Consider two leaders building a new initiative. The first is driven by a passionate attachment to a specific outcome, perhaps hitting a revenue number or achieving a certain industry award. Every setback feels like a personal failure. They push their team toward unsustainable hours, compromise on quality, and their mood swings with each piece of news. Their ambition, untempered by reason, has become a source of collective pressure. The second leader practicing this virtue is equally dedicated to the initiative's success. But their primary focus is on the excellence of the work itself, on building a product that truly serves, on leading their team with fairness, and on making decisions aligned with their values. They work diligently, but they measure their worth by the integrity of their daily actions, not by a future metric they cannot fully control. When challenges arise, they are seen as puzzles within the work, not as threats to their identity. This leader sustains their drive over the long term because their energy source is internal and renewable, rooted in the satisfaction of doing good work. So here is your reflective prompt to apply this wisdom. Examine one significant goal you are currently pursuing. Ask yourself honestly, is my attachment to the specific outcome causing me anxiety or leading to compromises? Then ask the liberating question, can I refocus my primary satisfaction on the excellence of my effort alone, on showing up with full focus and integrity today, regardless of what tomorrow brings? That shift in focus is where sustainable, principled achievement truly begins. For a leader, Stoic wisdom is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing how to think clearly when you do not. This virtue is the crown of the entire practice, the practical application of all the inner disciplines we have built. It is not an abstract philosophy stored on a shelf. It is the living, breathing ability to navigate uncertainty with reason, to synthesize your perception, your emotional balance, and your commitment to justice into a single, sound judgment. The Stoics, like Zeno and Chrysippus, defined wisdom as the art of living in agreement with nature, which to them meant living in harmony with our highest human faculty, our rational mind. It is the skill of aligning your choices with a deep understanding of what is true, what is good, and what is necessary. Think of wisdom as the final output of a well-trained system. Your daily pause creates the space for it. Your disciplined perception provides the clear data. Your emotional balance ensures the data is not distorted. And your virtues of courage, justice, and temperance provide the ethical compass for the decision itself. Wisdom is what happens when all these parts work together seamlessly in a moment of pressure. Consider a leader facing a classic, difficult choice between two unfavorable options. Perhaps budget constraints force a decision between a targeted organizational change and a broader adjustment that affects the entire team. Both options carry real weight and potential difficulty. An unwise reaction might be to delay the decision from fear or to choose based on short-term pressures alone. Stoic wisdom, however, engages a different process. The leader first applies clear perception, stripping the situation of panic to see the core necessity. They then use the view from above, considering the long-term health and culture of the entire organization beyond the immediate quarter. Justice guides them to ask which option best supports the common good and fairness for all. Temperance reminds them to act with balance and without excessive emotion. The final decision may still be deeply challenging, but it is reached through a principled, reasoned framework, not through avoidance or reactivity. The leader can then communicate the why behind the choice with clarity, because they understand the path they walk to arrive there. This is applied knowledge in its purest form. Your reflective prompt to cultivate this is direct. Look back at a recent decision you regret or that did not yield the result you hoped for. Analyze it not with self-criticism, but with curiosity. Which specific Stoic principle was missing in that moment? Was it the pause where a reactive impulse took over? Was it a clouded perception where you believed a story instead of the facts? Or was it a virtue like courage or justice that you failed to consult? Identifying that single missing piece turns a past experience into a masterclass for your future wisdom. When you are faced with a challenging leadership decision, who is the ideal advisor you wish you could consult? The Stoics had a powerful practice for precisely this moment, the mental invocation of a sage. This was not about magical thinking or historical fantasy. It was a practical technique for externalizing your own highest judgment, a way to consult an internalized moral compass shaped by the finest examples of human character. They would mentally bring forward a figure like Socrates, who faced profound difficulty with calm principle, or Cato, whose integrity was unshakable even in times of great conflict. Epictetus advised his students directly, saying, "Let the wise man be present to your mind as your guardian and protector. Have him before your eyes as someone to please, someone to stand beside you." By asking yourself, what would Marcus Aurelius do in this meeting, or how would Zeno approach this disagreement, you are not seeking a mystical answer. You are creating a moment of pause to access the part of you that already knows the principled path. You are giving your own reason a clear and virtuous voice to follow. Think of this as having a personal board of ethical advisors, always on call and completely free. Their presence in your thoughts shifts the question from what is easiest to what is right, from what serves my ego to what serves the common good. Before a difficult negotiation where pressure might tempt you to compromise a core value, you take a quiet minute. You consider your chosen exemplar. How would they maintain their focus on fairness while still being effective? Would they be swayed by a threat, or would they respond with unflinching clarity about the terms that truly matter? This mental rehearsal does not provide a script, but it sets a standard. It aligns your impending action with a template of virtue that you have chosen to admire. Your reflective step this week is to make this practice your own. Choose one historical or personal role model for wisdom and courage, someone whose character you genuinely respect. It could be a philosopher like Seneca, a modern leader known for their integrity, or even a respected mentor from your own past. Then, consciously invite their perspective into one specific challenge you face. Before you walk into that difficult conversation or make that pivotal decision, pause and ask silently, how would they approach this with both courage and compassion? Notice how this simple act of mental consultation clarifies your intention and steadies your resolve. The public praise feels amazing, the scathing critique ruins your week. Stoicism offers a third way, valuing neither. This practice of detachment from both praise and blame is not about developing a thick skin of indifference, but about building an inner compass so reliable that external noise simply loses its power to steer you. It is the ultimate application of the dichotomy of control to the social world. The opinions of others, whether glowing or harsh, are classic externals. They belong in the same category as the weather or the stock market, events you can observe but cannot command. Your only true metric, the only thing you can ever truly know and govern, is the integrity of your own effort and the alignment of your actions with your principles. The philosopher Epictetus put this with characteristic clarity. He suggested that if anyone tells you a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said, but instead note they were surely unaware of your other shortcomings, else they would not have mentioned these alone. And elsewhere he observed, it is not the person who speaks harshly to you who defines your experience, but your own opinion about those words. His point is profound. Praise and blame tell you something about the person offering them, their values, their mood, their perspective. They reveal very little, if anything, about your own character. A compliment may come from a place of genuine respect, or it may be a tool of flattery. Criticism may be a gift of necessary feedback, or it may be a reflection of someone else's frustration. To base your self-assessment on such unstable ground is to build your house on sand. Consider two leaders facing a boardroom review. The first leader is deeply attached to approval. They shape their presentation and their decisions around what they believe will earn praise and avoid criticism. When praised, they feel validated and successful. When questioned or challenged, they become defensive, their mood shifts, and they may pivot their strategy not based on merit, but on the desire to regain that lost approval. Their leadership is reactive, constantly pulled by the changing winds of external opinion. The second leader, practicing this detachment, enters the same room with a different focus. Their presentation is built on facts, reasoned strategy, and principled choices. They are prepared to explain their reasoning clearly. If the board responds with praise, they receive it politely but do not internalize it as the measure of their worth. If the board responds with sharp critique, they listen for useful insight within the feedback, but they do not allow the tone to shake their core composure. Their stability comes from knowing they prepared diligently and acted with integrity. The decision itself was theirs, the outcome now belongs to the world. This perspective creates incredible freedom. It allows you to receive feedback without ego, to consider it rationally, and to set aside what is not useful without feeling personally diminished. It also protects you from the pull of flattery, which can be just as unsteady as criticism in clouding your judgment. Your reflective prompt to integrate this is direct. Can you identify one recent piece of praise or blame that disproportionately affected your mood or decisions? Look at that moment again through this lens. Separate the external event, the words that were spoken, from your internal judgment about what those words meant about you. What if you saw that praise or blame as merely information about the other person's perspective, not a verdict on your character? How would that change your emotional response and your next action? This space between the external noise and your internal peace is where truly independent leadership resides. Stoicism teaches that we are not isolated actors, but integral parts of a vast, rational universe. This principle is known as Sympatheia, the deep and fundamental interconnectedness of all things. It is the understanding that every action creates a ripple, every decision resonates through a complex web of relationships, and true leadership means seeing your role not as a solo commander, but as a vital limb within a larger, living body. This cosmic perspective dismantles the illusion of the silo. It challenges the leader who believes their department's success can be achieved at the expense of another, or that a short-term financial win justifies long-term cultural or environmental cost. Instead, it fosters a mindset of collaboration and systems thinking, where you are constantly aware of how your piece fits into and affects the entire puzzle. Marcus Aurelius returned to this image of the body again and again in his private writings. He reminded himself, what does not benefit the hive does not benefit the bee. And more personally, he reflected, I am a limb of the body of rational beings. If I am separated from that body, it is as if I have cut off a hand or a foot. For a leader, this is a profound shift in identity. Your success is inextricably linked to the health of the whole system you operate within, your company, your industry, your community, the world. Your focus expands from managing your territory to stewarding your connections. In practice, this transforms decision-making. A leader grounded in this interconnected view does not ask, what maximizes my team's metrics this quarter? They ask, how does this decision affect our product quality for the customer, the well-being of our manufacturing partners, the long-term sustainability of our supply chain, and the morale of every team that interacts with ours? They consider stakeholders, not just shareholders. For instance, choosing a slightly more expensive, ethically sourced material might reduce immediate profit margins, but it strengthens the entire ecosystem, builds brand trust, and aligns the company with future-focused values. That leader is thinking as a limb of a larger body, ensuring its actions nourish the whole organism. Your reflective prompt to apply this cosmic thinking is this. Take a moment to map the immediate ecosystem your team or project operates within. List all the connected parts, the other departments you rely on, the customers you serve, the vendors you partner with, even the local community. Now look at that map and identify one overlooked or undernourished connection. What is one small, intentional action you could take this month to strengthen that link, to better serve that part of the whole? It could be as simple as initiating a regular check-in with a parallel team you often compete with for resources, or reviewing a process from your customer's perspective to remove a point of friction. In strengthening that single connection, you begin to lead not from an island, but as a conscious part of a continent. Stoics do not just accept obstacles, they actively invert them, turning blockages into stepping stones. This is the art of the flip, a specific cognitive maneuver that takes the general love of fate and turns it into a precise tool for daily leadership. It is the deliberate practice of looking at any barrier, any setback, or any criticism, and asking one transformative question. What virtue does this situation invite me to practice, or what hidden advantage does it force into the light? The obstacle is no longer something to be endured, it becomes the raw material for your growth. Marcus Aurelius captured this mindset with legendary clarity in his private notes, writing, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In that single sentence, he defines the entire practice. The very thing that seems to block your path is redefined as the path itself. It is the material for your next step. This requires a conscious, almost alchemical shift in thinking. Instead of a criticism being a blow to your ego, you flip it. This feedback is an opportunity to practice humility and to gain clarity for improvement. Instead of a frustrating delay derailing your timeline, you flip it. This unexpected time is a gift to prepare more thoroughly, to strengthen other areas, or to simply breathe and regain perspective. The external event remains the same, but your internal relationship to it changes completely, and with that change comes a surge of agency and calm. Consider a concrete leadership challenge, the sudden departure of a key, high-performing team member. The initial, unflipped perception might highlight difficulty. There is a transition in knowledge, an increased workload for others, and a need to find a new path forward. It can feel purely like a setback. Now, apply the Stoic flip. This event is an invitation to practice several virtues at once. It is a chance to demonstrate calm and resilience to your remaining team, showing them that the group's strength is collective. It encourages a fresh evaluation of team structure, perhaps revealing a previous over-reliance on one individual that was an unseen vulnerability. It creates space to share knowledge with other team members, building a more robust and versatile unit. It might even allow for a strategic pivot in how the work is done, leading to greater long-term efficiency. The change did not create these opportunities, they were always present within the team's dynamics. The event simply revealed them, but only to the leader who chooses to look for the way within the wall. Your reflective practice to build this skill is direct and powerful. Identify your single biggest current work obstacle. Take a piece of paper and write it down plainly at the top. Now, challenge yourself to write down 3 potential flips, 3 hidden opportunities or virtues this obstacle makes possible. If it is a budget reduction, perhaps the flip is practicing innovative resourcefulness. If it is a difficult stakeholder, perhaps the flip is honing the virtue of patience and clear communication. Do not rush this. The third flip is often the most insightful, the one that reveals a strategic advantage you would have otherwise missed. By doing this, you are not ignoring the difficulty, you are commanding it. You are training your mind to see the world not as a series of problems to solve, but as a continuous invitation to build the leader you are capable of becoming. Before sleep, the thoughtful leader conducts a brief and honest review of the day. This is the evening reflection, a personal ritual of awareness that turns daily experience into lasting insight. It is not about criticism or focusing on errors. It is a structured and gentle observation of your own actions through the lens of your chosen values. Where the morning might be for setting intention, the evening is for understanding how you carried it out. The philosopher Seneca practiced this with great care, describing his routine in a letter to a friend. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." He would ask himself, what habit have you addressed today? What challenge have you met? In what way are you growing? This is the ultimate act of taking charge, reviewing your own direction before you rest. The traditional approach is beautifully simple, built on 3 core questions. First, where did my actions today not fully match my principles? This is not a search for what went wrong, but for understanding. Perhaps you spoke from frustration in a conversation instead of clarity, or you delayed a needed choice out of unease. The goal is to see the moment clearly, without a narrative of blame. Second, where did I act in harmony with my values? Did you demonstrate fairness in a tough decision about resources, or show courage by sharing a necessary but difficult perspective? Noting these moments helps strengthen the patterns you wish to build. Third, and most importantly, what is one specific thing I can carry forward tomorrow? This turns reflection into a forward-looking plan. Based on today's observation, you might decide tomorrow, I will listen completely before replying in our team discussion, or I will safeguard the first hour of my morning for focused work without distraction. Let us make this practical. Imagine your day included a detailed project discussion where a colleague questioned your proposed timeline. In a quick evening review, you might observe, I initially felt defensive, and my first response was to explain my position rather than to understand their concern. That is the gentle observation, the simple what happened. Then you identify the value, perhaps patience and shared understanding, that was briefly less visible. Finally, you plan for growth tomorrow. If a question arises, I will pause and ask, what particular concern are you seeing that I have overlooked before I share my own view? This whole process can take just a few minutes, but its ongoing effect on your personal growth is deep. Your invitation is to begin this practice tonight. Do not write a long account. Simply take a few quiet minutes, perhaps as you prepare for rest, and ask yourself those 3 questions about just one meaningful exchange or choice from your day. Where did my action align with my values? Where did it differ? And what is one small and specific step I will bring into tomorrow? This daily review is how you complete the cycle on your leadership, making sure that every day, no matter how full, adds directly to the person you are becoming. You can manage every minute of your calendar and still feel exhausted and ineffective if your mind is scattered and reactive. This is the modern leadership challenge we often miss. We treat time as our most precious resource, meticulously blocking hours for tasks, yet we overlook the true currency of high performance, our mental and emotional energy. A schedule is just a container. What fills it and how you fill it determines everything. Stoicism provides the critical upgrade, shifting the focus from managing your clock to governing your energy. Think of your energy as a finite reservoir. Every moment of unchecked concern about a future meeting, every lingering thought about a past conversation, every reaction to an unexpected email, these are not just passing feelings. They are active draws on your reservoir, pulling from your capacity for the deep, creative, and strategic work that defines true leadership. The Stoic disciplines we have explored are, at their core, a system for preserving your inner resources. The pause before responding stops the outflow of impulsive feeling. The discipline of perception, seeing events as neutral facts, prevents the significant drain of imagining difficult outcomes. The view from above eases the cost of smaller conflicts by placing them in a broader context. What the Stoics called tranquility was not a state of passive bliss. It was the experience of having your full energy available, free from the turbulence of unhelpful reactions, ready to be directed with precision. Consider 2 leaders with identical, packed schedules. The first spends their day mentally entangled in every interaction. They replay a colleague's offhand comment, concerned about possible meanings. They feel personal frustration about a delayed report, carrying that tension into the next meeting. They are constantly monitoring various dynamics, thinking about others' intentions. By midday, their reservoir is nearly low. They are managing time, but their energy is gone, leaving them strained and unable to focus on complex problems. The second leader, applying Stoic principles, experiences the same day differently. They hear the same comment but use the pause to withhold judgment, conserving the energy that might have been spent on concern. They see the delayed report as a logistical hurdle to solve, not a personal matter, avoiding the drain of frustration. They recognize various chatter as external noise and choose not to invest their attention there. Their identical time blocks are now filled with a different quality of presence, a focused energy channeled entirely into problem solving and clear communication. They finish the day tired from effort, but not depleted by constant emotional pulls. Your energy is shaped by what you allow to occupy your mind. So here is a practical step for tomorrow. At the end of your day, take just 2 minutes to track this. Ask yourself, what single mental or emotional pattern drew most heavily on my focus and energy today? Was it concern about an upcoming deadline, a thought about a perceived unfairness, or a reaction to a recurring obstacle? Simply name that draw. Then, identify one Stoic tool from our journey that could help address it. Would applying the pause tomorrow create space before that concern builds? Would practicing a different perspective on that obstacle reveal a hidden opportunity and change your relationship to it? By connecting the energy pull to the specific practice that addresses it, you move from feeling depleted to actively cultivating your focus. Stoic leadership invests in the compound interest of character and right action, not the lottery ticket of quick, flashy wins. This is the virtue of patience understood not as passive waiting, but as active, strategic trust in a fundamental law of nature, that the most meaningful things in life, from a mighty oak to a sterling reputation, grow only through consistent, daily application over time. The Stoic concept of living in agreement with nature is a call to align with this patient rhythm of growth. Nature does not rush, yet it accomplishes everything. Our impatient desires, however, often push for immediate results, for shortcuts that promise to bypass the necessary work. True leadership impact is a marathon built on the daily disciplines we practice, not a series of frantic sprints. It is the quiet understanding that your legacy is not written in a single grand announcement, but in the countless small decisions you make when no one is watching. This long view is precisely what the practices of the view from above and reflecting on our shared journey cultivate. When you zoom out to the scale of years or a lifetime, the pressure for this week's win or this quarter's metric loses its frantic edge. You see the broader arc. Similarly, remembering the precious nature of your time does not create haste for quick fixes. It creates clarity for what is worthy of your patient, sustained effort. The philosopher Seneca, in his letters, counseled against the restless mind that leaps from one endeavor to another without depth. He observed that a plant which is frequently moved never grows strong. Your leadership development and the culture you build are that plant. They require you to stay rooted in principle and to nurture them with daily, consistent action. Consider the practical endeavor of building a culture of unwavering trust within a team. This cannot be mandated in a meeting or purchased with a bonus. It is the compound result of 100 small actions, 1,000 kept promises, and a consistent pattern of fairness. It is you, as the leader, showing up prepared for every one-on-one conversation, not just the easy ones. It is you giving credit publicly every single time an idea succeeds. It is you admitting a mistake openly when it would be easier to gloss over it. None of these actions in isolation seem monumental, but each one is a deposit into the trust account, and over months and years, the interest compounds into a level of loyalty and psychological safety that no short-term incentive could ever buy. Your reflective step is to bring this from concept to your calendar. Identify one area of your leadership where you feel a current sense of impatience. Is it the development of a team member, the adoption of a new process, or the growth of your own influence in a certain area? Now, shift your focus entirely away from the distant, impatient goal. Ask instead, what is the one small, consistent action I can take daily that, over time, will inevitably build toward that result? For the team member, it might be a single, specific piece of encouraging feedback each week. For the new process, it might be personally using it and noting one friction point to improve each day. The power is in the consistency, not the size of the action. By committing to that daily practice, you align yourself with nature's patient, compounding law. You trade the anxiety of the harvest for the quiet confidence of tending the soil, day after day after day. Perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. This principle, echoed by modern thinkers, is the very heartbeat of Stoic action. It is where the inner virtue of temperance meets the outer world as a powerful, clarifying force called simplification. Your focus is a finite resource. Every unnecessary object, every trivial commitment, and every ounce of complexity in your environment is a silent tax on that resource, draining energy you could be directing toward what truly matters. Simplification, then, is not a lifestyle trend. It is the active, even disciplined, application of your Stoic clarity. It is the decision to align your external world with the calm space you have cultivated within. A cluttered desk, a chaotic calendar, and a backlog of minor obligations are not just logistical problems. They are the physical manifestations of a mind that has not yet fully commanded its own attention. They are echoes of distraction waiting to pull you away from your purpose. The philosopher Seneca championed this connection between inner peace and outer simplicity in his letters. He observed that wealth is the slave of a wise person and the master of a fool. and he constantly advocated for a life unburdened by the weight of excessive possessions and pointless activity. He wrote of how life is most free when it is most simple, and that we are held back by our own baggage. His advice was to shed the non-essential, not to live in lack, but to live in freedom. The goal is to create space, both literal and mental, for your principles to operate without friction. In practice, this looks like a series of deliberate choices. It begins with your physical workspace, that pile of papers you keep meaning to sort, the collection of outdated notes, the broken pen in the drawer. Each is a small, visual promise of a task undone, a subtle drain on your focus. Clearing them is not just cleaning, it is an act of declaring what deserves your attention. It extends to your commitments. How many recurring meetings on your calendar no longer serve a clear, essential purpose? Saying no to a non-essential request is not a rejection of collaboration. It is a firm protection of your time and energy for the collaborations that truly count. It applies to your communication. Can that long email be distilled into a few clear points? Simplification is the discipline of removing everything that does not contribute to clarity, effectiveness, and peace. Your challenge this week is to conduct a single, focused strike on the unnecessary. Identify one thing you can eliminate. It might be a weekly meeting that could be replaced with a brief written update. It could be a digital subscription that fills your inbox with noise but not value. It might be the stack of reading material in the corner of your office or the redundant apps on your phone's home screen. Choose one and remove it. Do not just move it or postpone it, cancel it or let it go. In that act of removal, you will feel the immediate lightness of reclaimed space, a small but tangible victory for your focus. You are not just clearing a calendar slot or a surface, you are carving out room for your leadership to breathe and grow. Your team will forget most of what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel and what they saw you do. This is the non-verbal curriculum of leadership, the silent, continuous teaching that happens in the spaces between your words. Every choice you make, from how you handle a sudden setback to where you place your attention in a meeting, is a live demonstration of your true values. Stoic self-mastery is therefore never a purely private act. It is a public performance of principle, a curriculum written in action. Your calm in a moment of crisis teaches resilience far more effectively than a memo on the subject. Your visible integrity when facing a tempting shortcut instructs the entire team on ethics. Your focused presence amidst chaos becomes a masterclass in priority. The philosopher Epictetus cut straight to the heart of this. He taught that philosophy is not about having read many books, but about becoming a certain kind of person. And that person, their character and conduct, is what the world sees and learns from. Your team is not just listening to your speeches, they are studying your life. They are noting the consistency, or the lack of it, between your professed values and your daily habits. Consider the clear contrast between two leaders who both verbally champion work-life balance. The first delivers passionate talks about unplugging and mental well-being. Yet their team consistently receives emails times stamped at 2 in the morning and observes them canceling personal commitments for last-minute work. The lesson learned is not about balance, it is about performative speech. The real curriculum teaches that the stated values are just for show and that true success requires constant, visible sacrifice. The second leader also speaks of balance, but their actions write the real syllabus. They visibly protect blocks of time for deep, focused work, and they respect those boundaries for their team. They leave the office or log off at a reasonable hour to honor family commitments, and they do not apologize for it. When an urgent issue arises, they address it with calm efficiency, not with a performance of martyrdom. The lesson here is that principled boundaries are possible and respected. The team learns that sustainable performance is built on renewal, not exhaustion. Your behavior sets the cultural weather for everyone who works with you. So here is the reflective question to bring this home. What single behavior of yours, if magnified and adopted by every member of your team, would most help or most hinder your collective mission? Would it be your habit of preparation, making every meeting count? Or would it be your subtle tendency to check your phone during conversations, teaching others that divided attention is acceptable? Choose one to consciously strengthen or gently release, for that choice is the most powerful lesson plan you will ever write. Tomorrow morning before the day begins, you have a quiet moment to once again accept your invitation to lead like a Stoic. This is the final practical truth of everything we have explored. Stoicism is not a certificate you earn or a permanent state you achieve. It is a daily invitation to philosophy, a set of mental exercises you choose to practice anew each day in the most demanding field of all, the arena of leadership. Your role is the applied philosophy. Every interaction, every decision, every unexpected challenge is a fresh test for your perception, your courage, your justice, and your self-command. The philosopher Epictetus framed this daily choice with beautiful simplicity. He advised, as soon as you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be difficult, ungrateful, rude, dishonest, jealous, and ill-tempered. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I know that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. So none of them can truly harm my character. No one can draw me into poor conduct, nor can I feel lasting anger at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together. His point was not to expect the worst, but to prepare your mind for the reality of human nature, to arm yourself with understanding and compassion before you even step into the day's arena. It is a reminder that your work is with people and your duty is to see them clearly and lead them justly regardless of their momentary state. This is your morning invitation to remember the nature of the work and the virtues it requires of you. The application can be beautifully simple. Before you reach for your phone or open your email, take just 60 seconds of quiet. Review one single principle you wish to govern your day. It might be, today I will focus only on what is within my control, or today I will communicate with clarity and fairness, or today I will see obstacles as invitations to practice patience. Hold that one intention in your mind. Let it be the lens through which you view your first few hours. This small ritual does not magically erase difficulty, but it does something more powerful. It consciously sets your inner compass before the world's magnetic fields of urgency and opinion try to pull you off course. It is you for a moment standing firm in your inner citadel, looking out at the coming day and saying, I am ready. So here is your reflective prompt to carry this forward. Look back over the principles we have walked through, from the dichotomy of control to the view from above, from the discipline of perception to the courage of action. Choose just one. Let it be your daily invitation for the coming week. Write it on a note by your bedside or set it as a silent reminder on your phone for the first quiet minute of your morning. Each day, that principle is your fresh invitation to lead not from reaction but from a place of chosen calm command. The field awaits and your tools are ready. The transformation is not about becoming a different person, but about seeing your role through a completely different lens. This journey through Stoic principles reveals a profound shift, moving the source of your command from the unpredictable external world to the unshakable ground of your own reasoned judgment, and anchoring your focus firmly in the only moment where action is ever possible, the present. We began by building your inner citadel, that fortress of character founded on the simple, liberating distinction between what is within your control and what is not. We explored the discipline of perception, learning to see events as they are, not as our fears or ego might paint them. We practiced Amor, Fati, the love of fate, to embrace every obstacle as necessary fuel for growth. And we saw how the cardinal virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance form the living framework for every focused, effective decision you will ever make. This is not a theoretical philosophy. It is a practical toolkit for the daily, gritty reality of guiding others. Marcus Aurelius, facing immense responsibilities, offered a final, grounding thought for the leader. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be one." And in another moment of clarity, he advised, "Do every act of your life as if it were your last." The nobility lies not in the scale of the act, but in doing the next right thing with your whole soul. This is the essence of Stoic leadership, showing up fully for the duty directly in front of you with clarity and with care. So as you move forward, carrying these ideas into your world, hold one final question. Which single practice, if you truly mastered it, would most transform your leadership and your focus? Is it the daily pause that creates space for choice? Is it the evening reflection that turns experience into wisdom? Or is it the commitment to see every challenge as the way itself? Your answer is your starting point. If this path of practical philosophy resonates with you, consider subscribing for more guides on living and leading with intention. And share your own insights in the comments below. What is one Stoic principle that has changed how you lead? Let us build a community of thoughtful leaders, one practiced virtue at a time.